it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm actually going to be making two cards using this new Neat Tangled Yo Ho Ho stamp set and the Echo Park Pirate's Life 6x6 paper pad. I think these two products were a match made in heaven. So I've already stamped, colored, and die cut all of the images from this set during Kathy Rakusen's The Daily Marker 30-Day Coloring Challenge. So if you follow me on Instagram, you saw me post these during a couple of those days. So I thought I would focus on combining pattern papers today. I've had a lot of requests for that, and so that's what we're going to do today. So I've die cut these two focal panels using the MFT wonky stitched rectangle dies. These dies measure 3 inches tall, so the only way I could get 2 out of one piece of 6x6 pattern paper was if I left that hole in the top of the one. But that's okay, we're going to cover that up with our little guy holding the flag, and nobody will ever know except you guys. So I've placed my focal panel in my MISTI, and now I'm just lining up my images so that I can see where I want to stamp my sentiment. And I'm going to be doing that using some VersaFine Onyx Black ink. So I'll just press that down and run my fingers over top to get a nice impression. And then I'm going to ink that up a second time. Since I'm stamping over some details in the background, I want to make sure that that sentiment really stands out and is bold and legible. And now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the second part of the sentiment. And especially because this one is a thinner font, I definitely want to stamp that twice as well. So when I'm making multiple cards, I like to do all the similar steps at once. So while I have my MISTI and my ink out, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment for my second focal panel. And this time I'm just using a very short sentiment because that's going to work best with my images. And I love that you have different sizes and different styles of fonts in this set. So our first focal panel is going to be our boy card, and there are two reasons why. Number one, because he's the only image tall enough to cover up that hole at the top. But secondly, because there's some little piles of dirt drawn into this panel, and I thought that really suited the boy. I know when my boys were little, if there was dirt to be found, my boys would be in it. So I'm just going to add this little toy ship next to him. I thought that would look cute under the tree. My kids used to play under a tree in our backyard in our old house. And I just added the little dog since we have a dog. This second focal panel I thought would be perfect for the little girl since there's a large X marks the spot and she's holding the buried treasure there. So then I'll just take my little kitty and make sure he has enough room to still be on the land and not look like the sword is coming down on his head. And then I'm just going to add the parrot so it looks like he's standing on the end of the telescope, which I thought would just be funny and cute. So my card bases are made from one sheet of 8.5 by 11 craft cardstock, and then I score them at 5.5 so that they make two 5.5 wide by 4 inch tall cards. I'm going to use 3 prints each of pattern paper for my card bases, and I'm going to tie them together by using 2 similar prints on each card. So I'm going to use that black skull print and the red and white stripe print on both cards so that they could either be standalones or they could be part of a set. So I'm adhering my 2 largest pieces to cover the entire front of the cards with some Tombow Mono multi-glue, and I'll just smooth that into place. And once again on this black skull print, I'm using a piece that has the hole still punched out of the top, but it won't matter because it's going to be completely covered up by our focal panel. And then I'm going to take this other print and adhere that down to my other card. And these are trimmed down to 5 1/4, so there's just a little bit of a border of that bottom piece around the edges. And then I'm going to take the red and white stripes, and I've die cut the bottom of those to have a flag end, and I did that using the Lawn Fawn Stitch Party Banner die. And I did that for a number of reasons. The flag end is going to tie into the whole nautical theme. In fact, there's even a flag on the pirate ship on the boy card that is cut in the similar shape. And then the red and white stripes, I used that because it ties in with the stockings on the girl pirate and also the shirt of the boy pirate. I also chose the X pattern paper specifically for the girl card because it's going to tie in to that X on her focal panel. It also ties into all the different colors that I used on the cards. And I used the anchor print for the boy card because it ties in with that little toy pirate ship. And the black and white skull piece ties into both the girl's pirate hat and the boy's pirate flag. And these are all things that I'm thinking about before I even start to color my images. I always flip through my pattern paper pad first, and I draw my colors and my inspiration from the patterns that I find inside. So now I decided that I wanted to pop up my focal panels, but that pattern paper is a little too thin, so I just die cut some extra panels out of some cheap white cardstock with the same die, and I just added that to the back for a little more strength. And then I just made sure that the back was really well supported with that foam tape. I like to use plenty so that my card will not cave at all if it goes through the mail. And then I'll just line those up in the center of my card, make sure that it's straight, that I have an even border all the way around, and just press them into place. For the insides of my cards, I'm going to do some additional stamping using the Lawn Fawn Walnut ink. And I'm going to stamp out the sentiment that says Happy Birthday. There is also a really great sentiment in this set that says You are my greatest treasure. But I always seem to find myself in need of birthday cards, so I decided to go ahead and use this sentiment on both. So if you remember from my pile of images that I had at the beginning, there were 2 left over that didn't work on the front of either card. So I decided to just go ahead and use those for the inside. So I adhered the map to the inside of the boy card with some Tombow Mono Multi Glue, and I'm just using the goldfish for the inside of the girl card. As a finishing touch, I'm going to take some of these Pretty Pink Posh clear droplets. These are the 4 and the 6 millimeter, and I'm going to adhere them to my cards with a little bit of multi-matte medium from Ranger. And I'm just going to apply that glue directly to my card base. I thought that would be the easiest way, and then I can just pick up the little droplets and set them right in that glue. And you can see that it's going to look white underneath, but that glue is going to dry completely clear, and you'll be able to see that in the final shots at the end. And that is going to complete our cards for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you picked up some tips on how to use pattern paper on your cards as inspiration and just how to pull in the different prints. I'm definitely going to also do some more videos in the future where I talk about the different sizes of the prints to use together or the different colors. So stay tuned for those, but I hope this was helpful to you guys. If it was, please give the video a big thumbs up, and here's a couple other videos you may also be interested in. Also, you can always click on my photo to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already. I typically post new videos every Monday and Friday. I hope you all have a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.